I did. Welcome, everyone, to the Tuesday edition of Menus of the Sioux. With me, I am Skep Tock, your keeper, and with me, I have Prospero.
Hello, Skep Tock, my keeper.
And Jenna.
Hola, Skep Tock, Prospero's keeper.
Certainly not Jenna's keeper.
Am I not my brother's keeper?
She has lots of keepers. But anyway, no, we expect Harry to pop up in 3, 2, 1. Oh, look, there's Harry.
That's right.
I have to go. No.
That was cool. Wait, what?
It was brilliantly timed, though.
Go ahead, go.
You bastard!
He's such a dick.
Yep.
Virtual cameras are a thing of beauty. How you doing, Harry?
Crazy. It's been a wickedly windy day in Central California.
It was here too.
It was in Texas.
It's probably the same wind.
It's probably that global warming thing.
Probably that.
Outside. I don't know if it's windy. None of the kids complained.
We were very, very gusty, 25, 35 mile an hour gusts.
It's never windy on Cape Cod.
Ha!
I live in Rhode Island.
Yeah, the girl.
Sort of true, actually.
Yeah.
I love that.
I just want to say, yesterday was Elizabeth's 3rd birthday, and No was not invited.
So her 3rd birthday in that year, or just her 3rd birthday?
It was her 3rd birthday.
Okay.
And No
was a prodigy.
Invited. I love that.
She's pretending the kid doesn't exist. It's weird.
Does she still call him No?
Yes.
Oh my God.
And
was this in P-Town? Like at the P-Town Chuck E. Cheese?
Like I'd take my kid to a Chuck E. Cheese.
You take him to P-Town, but you wouldn't take him to the Chuck E. Cheese.
I say happy, you say birthday. I say happy, you say.
You know, if you go on DoorDash and you try to get pizza delivered, you might run across a thing called Pasquale's Chicken and Wings. It's Chuck E. Cheese. They're just pretending to be a restaurant that doesn't suck.
Do you want to know what I have on my DoorDash that I can order? I have Papagino's, Wendy's, a restaurant that's closed for the winter called
Useless. And?
Cook the something.
Yeah, let's not malign them.
Those bastards.
Oh, yeah. Okay. And I have like 5 restaurants, and then I have Walgreens.
Oh, and I tell you, Harry, you haven't lived until you've had a Papagino's pizza.
Well, what sort of place is Papagino's?
It's been in business for 50 years at least. And
I've been in business longer than that.
Yeah, and it's drive-in movie theater pizza.
That's not fair to
is worse than Papagino's.
Okay.
Wow.
But
not terribly. Not a lot.
Not a lot. I mean, Papagino's doesn't suck. But it's not Lou Maldonna's.
It's more of a soft vacuum.
It's okay. I mean, that's where we went. Either that or there was a actual restaurant that's still in business in Weymouth that we used to go to if you wanted like decent pizza.
Well, this is Papagino's is a restaurant chain based in Dedham.
Yep.
Dedham.
Would you eat food from a place that came from Dedham?
Yes.
Dedham.
Yes, I would.
Dedham.
Because
Dedham is dead.
Because I know where Dedham is.
And I can pronounce it.
And there's a train station there and everything that I've been to multiple times, the Amtrak station.
I just get pictures of Robin Williams.
Oh, gross.
Stop it. What? Too soon. I know. Okay.
Too soon. He died in 2006.
Yeah, that's kind of how that joke works, but it's not important right now.
Age to perfection.
Yeah.
Just let the joke marinate in the sadness, and Eventually, it'll be fully formed.
I got a salad from them.
It'll take on a
Tastes like
bouquet.
it's supposed to.
I got a salad from Papagino's tonight because it's back on the menu for the summer.
Oh, they make
Is it
salads?
salad in quotes, or is it like salad in quotes, or is it actually salad?
Well, what's a salad in quotes?
Kind of like a facsimile of a salad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
verisimilitude salad.
It had lettuce, peppers,
At one point, this was in the ground.
chicken,
Yes. It has a whiff of chlorine about it usually.
cheese because I like cheese. I mean, it's a salad.
I'm
I had a
glad.
salad.
So they brought him back on the menu. You said for summer.
Yeah, and I love it with grilled chicken. That's what I get as my protein.
Because it's February, they brought it back for
Yes,
summer.
they took it off late November, early November, I mean, and they brought it back
In February
now
for summer.
because Cook's opens in 2 weeks, so they want to.
Oh, yeah, they want to have some variety,
Because I
competition.
know. And
Yeah,
there are only
that's
6
true.
Cooks on the Cape.
Yeah, restaurant closes for the season. They do kind of open up for March just because people do travel on what's called shoulder seasons.
My favorite restaurant that had the best stuffed shrimp, Don, the owner, he was 85 and he was like, I want to go and retire. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna close. And I was like, can't you just send me some every once in a while? I'm sure it'll make it from Florida, but
Yeah.
as you
That's
can tell,
cool.
I went there a lot, so now I was on a first name basis with the owner.
Yeah, there are a lot of places,
They all
in
close
these
for the
small towns in New England, and even as busy as the Cape is in the summer, there are a fair number of restaurants. There are a couple over in P-Town. I know there's one in Falmouth that have been open for years. Same family. And when somebody decides to retire, it's kind of like, but wait, you've been there for 30 years.
Well,
You can't leave.
more, but wait, when I was going through my recovery process where it was hell on earth, you kept me alive.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry he had the gall to want to retire at 85.
I know. Come on, Don.
Yeah.
No, he needed to retire, and his children didn't want to take over. And
Yeah, because God forbid you work that hard. It's tough work, though. God. In season. I mean, the thing is about the Cape is a restaurant in the shoulder seasons, it's not that bad. But in season, it's insane.
we're having so much people that aren't opening until Memorial Day, Labor Day, Memorial Day.
Memorial Day is the start of summer. Labor Day is the end.
I already
Have you had any
5.
more immigrants up there?
You'd have to ask Otis.
Mm.
It's funny. Our friends that live in T-Ticket were really, really angry at DeSantis for doing that. And they're not super liberal people, but they were like, it was pretty fucking stupid because the season was over and there are no resources whatsoever in Martha's Vineyard to take care of people.
See, I thought it was funny.
I looked at him and I said, so you think Uvalde, Texas has the resources?
I was preparing a sermon if you didn't make that point. Exactly. God damn it.
I said, honey, El Paso. El Paso doesn't have the resources.
You should see fucking Del Rio.
these
You know,
places, in El Paso.
El Paso's been a Mexican city for a long time.
Well, yeah, but
I
you
mean,
know what I'm saying? They just don't have the money or the room. I mean, they could put them all over on Fort Useless.
They've got El Paso has 20 times the funding that Del Rio does, and they have less than half the flow. Del Rio is approaching a crisis situation. You have you have 200,000 people down there who don't have anything to do but make trouble.
Do you think?
And they're spreading through Texas.
Do you think one of the reasons they haven't been hitting El Paso as hard is, number one, it's big border checkpoint, and number two, Bliss is sitting right there. So
nope. I don't think those are the reasons. I mean, those could be contributing reasons, but I think the big thing is that El Paso has been a cartel city for a long time.
Yeah, and if people are trying to avoid the cartels, then they want to.
The cartel is actually keeping peace on this side of the border. They keep things orderly, and they make sure only the right people get killed. They really are functioning like the
gangs of New York.
1920s Italian, Cosa Nostra in New York City. Yeah.
No,
very much like that.
Or the gangs or the gangs in New York. I mean, the Irish gangs of 5 Points.
Yeah.
There's
different groups of them that act more like the insane the gangs
like MS-13 kind, but
yeah, exactly. Those are the take no prisoners guys.
They're very nice people.
The guys with the funny hats back in the gangs in New York were the MS-13s, I think, of their time.
Well, the police, if you remember, the nascent New York City Police Department, modeled on Mr. Peel's experiment in London.
In London, right?
Relied on those guys in 5 Points to control the area because they didn't have enough actual police to
control the mayhem, so they settled for managed mayhem.
Yeah, to control the size that the city was by 1820, 1830.
Yeah.
Because once Astor, said, let's lay out a grid, the whole place exploded.
I'll tell you, one of these outfits is going to figure out that in a lot of these little towns, the entire police force is 3 or 4 people. You take those people out, you can go around that town committing whatever you want, and you are basically not even going to get chased. And
so
these guys have the
Californian.
Yeah.
Well, arm up, Southern Texas.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the only.
I'm sorry. No, I don't mean to get going on the border necessarily. We've got a lot of things to talk about, but
yes, but we can not criticize Kamala Harris for her handling of the border because remember that's her.
She's done a tremendous job.
She's done a fabulous job. I mean, she has not been there at least 7 or 8 times.
It would make us racist, and but it's perfectly okay to call Nikki Haley the brown face of white supremacy.
Oh, I saw that.
Did they keep Buttigieg around to make Kamala look good?
Maybe. I don't know.
She's not the worst.
And you know who I'm angry at for not having said anything about the treatment of Nikki Haley by some of these lefty journalists? That was said in quotes and with clown faces dancing around. The likes of MSNBC and some of the people who have used her first name when her second name given to her at birth is Nikki, Nikki, is a Punjabi name.
Which she is.
Yes. Tulsi Gabbard. I went and checked Tulsi's Twitter page, and I went to look at her tweets and replies to see if she had said anything at all about the stupid shit that has been slung, the racist shit that has been slung at Nikki Haley. Look, you can dislike Nikki Haley for her politics, her principles of politics, her neocon-ishy kind of positionings
You think she's a neocon?
all day goddamn long. Jenna, she's kind of squishy on the margins, okay? That's all I'm
I'll have
saying.
to look into it.
She's just kind of squishy on the margins. And I'm a little irritated with Tulsi Gabbard for not sticking up for her fellow Indians. Now, I know that Tulsi isn't much of a race card player, but all these people that are so in love with Tulsi on the right, when she stays silent on an issue like that, please pay attention. There's an opportunity for her to say to her, in quotes, former team, cut it out. And I don't remember anybody on the right jumping Tulsi Gabbard for being Indian.
No.
If Republicans made the comments,
oh my God,
I would see reason to be upset about it, because then you're policing your own. But honestly, if Nikki Haley wants to be president of the United States, do we really want to get into this? Okay, I'm going to be totally blunt here. Sort of white knighting, thin-skinned outrage culture wannabe thing.
No.
Why do we want to emulate what the left does? We make some comment, they get their smelling salts out and hit the fainting couch, and they do this all the time, and we roll our eyes at them. Who cares if some nitwit on the left makes themselves look like an idiot making comments about Nikki Haley?
Well, when they do it on MSNBC, it got called out because
I don't care.
Yeah, no,
I mean,
no,
because we're just playing their stupid game. We're just trying to see who can be more aggrieved and get points. I don't mean you personally, but there's a lot of people that are getting really worked up about this. And I think if Nikki Haley is going to be president of the United States, this is just sort of par for the course. Now, if a Republican did it, I would unload on them, because that's just you policing your own congregation.
Yeah,
that's a totally different thing. But I don't care. The left is going to say so many stupid things. We don't have time to let them decide how we're going to engage with them. Because when we do this, all we're doing is just taking the oxygen out of the things that we should be saying, which is talking about policy and, you know, what we actually believe in and what we want to do. It's a trap in a lot of ways.
Yes.
A trap that we've owned gold ourselves by even engaging in this conversation. That's just my hot take.
No, I think you've got a very valid point, Harry. I was just annoyed because this is how stupid I am. Okay, it's
You're not stupid.
A reflexive belief that people can be better than they are, and I guess even though I know the left can't be better than they are, because they just simply refuse. They absolutely refuse to be better than they are. And they spend all their time telling everybody how good they are and how shitty all the rest of us are. And I should stop. I mean, I don't think Nikki Haley gives one solid shit about this. I think she's probably pretty okay with the whole thing. She didn't seem to run around screeching and hollering about it too much. It was other people, like you said, white knighting for her. It's just low class.
I hate the word white knighting.
Well, it served a purpose until we've had to use it to death. It meant something other than reflexive allyship. And now that's pretty much what the left has turned it into.
I just want her to be treated the same as I would if she was a man. Because if we're saying that it doesn't matter that she's a woman, you know, we say all these things, right? I would treat her the same way. The fact that she has ovaries instead of testes doesn't really enter into it. It's a natural instinct. It's a natural instinct, first of all, when we've had to listen to these idiots get offended about everything, to go, this time it's on you. Okay, but the trouble is it's just diluting the message that we're supposed to be doing. We want to engage on our own terms, not the ones that they trick us into. And as far as Nikki Haley goes, she doesn't need me to defend her honor. If they say something that's factually incorrect, absolutely we can say, you know, that's factually incorrect, and we can bring receipts, as the kids like to say these days. But we need to get past correcting their mistakes and get on to talking about what we actually believe in.
What is that?
Quickly. Yeah, exactly. That's what I would like to know.
Yeah.
Me
I would like to know what her platform is.
Yeah, that's because I'm getting bupkis out of anybody.
She's a Republican and a woman, and you'd be a sexist not to vote for her. If that's the game we're playing, we're going to lose.
Well,
No.
I certainly hope not, because you say that to me, and I'm like, I'll vote against her simply because you said that to me. You know,
I don't care.
And by the way, okay, go ahead, Jen. I'm sorry.
I don't care if she has ovaries. I care about her platform.
Well, I don't even consider the term white knighting to be gendered anymore. Because
Oh, neither do I. I get called, people accuse me of white knighting all the time because I have black children.
That's
You're
not
the face of black supremacy.
That isn't even.
You probably have a plantation and everything.
You know what? They actually sleep in the.
But they
not
sleep
near
in
the
bunks,
house.
don't they? They sleep in bunks.
And not near the house because we don't want
Yeah.
the dirt.
Yeah, in bunks.
Yeah.
You know who else slept in bunks? The people on Amistad. Sorry.
I know.
No, I'm just so sick of people.
Any child in a bunk bed is now
I'm so damn tired.
on Amistad, you know.
You sound punchy, Harry.
I am punchy. I'm really tired. I haven't slept for days. I haven't slept properly for days.
Why?
I used to make really good money waiting tables during finals week because I would just get really tired and I would kind of get like this, and then people would go, Harry's pretty funny this way. I would just give him more money. It's great.
I've been up since 6 without a nap. So hey.
No, I just haven't been sleeping well.
Well, you need to stop that.
Yeah, I'm gonna get right on that.
Harry,
it works so well when you're
stay
trying
awake
to go
for
to
the
sleep,
show, though.
doesn't it?
I will.
Yeah,
Harry. So I just want you to know that my creature would eat your creature.
Oh, easily.
So,
yeah, but your creature can't climb to the top of a sign, so there you go.
They can stand pretty tall. Well, not stand. They can get on the back flippers.
Jenna, look to your left.
my creature would hopefully stay away from that
Creature.
cesspool.
Yeah.
I mean, beautiful woman.
Incredibly talented and accomplished woman, and actually to that end, I've been messing around with Chat GPT, and I just had an interesting thing. So I submitted the following question to Chat GPT. I said, for employment standards, should we set standards, and when someone meets those standards, take their ethnicity and race and sex and gender into account as the next criterion in determining their superiority to other candidates? And here was the response. In boilerplate, garbage, discrimination based on blah, blah, blah. Let's see. It says discrimination based on characteristics such as race, gender, or ethnicity is not only unethical, but is also illegal in many jurisdictions. I found that an interesting conclusion. That being said, this is when it always says that being said when it's about to contradict itself.
Yes, that's why
it's going to Tim Pool you.
Right. It's got, you're about, that is the truth.
Chat GPT is a Democrat.
Anyway, that being said, it is also important to ensure that the hiring process is fair and unbiased, and that all qualified candidates are given equal consideration. This may involve efforts to promote diversity and inclusion, such as actively seeking out candidates from underrepresented groups or providing targeted training and support to help overcome barriers to entry. And I would submit to you, ladies and gentlemen, that this is absolute proof that that ChatGPT is a mealy-mouthed Democrat, because that's what every mealy-mouthed Democrat says when you put them up against the wall and say, will you consider race in hiring? They always have a mealy-mouthed, but it always comes out, yes. Yeah, I would. I definitely would, take that as a significant characteristics. Just the color of skin, just who they are, just, because they say they're non-binary furry. You're going to say, we need more diversity. We got to get the furries in here. They're important, talented group of people who contribute a lot, really, if you think about it. Don't they do? What don't they give us? What don't the furries give us, ladies and gentlemen? They give us fur coats.
Jen's behind. Who is Top Coat CPD?
I don't know.
Whoever Skep said.
ChatGPT. It's an open AI.
Yeah, chat. Yeah, it's AI.
It's not, and by that we don't mean artificial, and we do mean automated intelligence more than artificial intelligence. Did you see Kaneko the Great Substack? I don't know if that's how he pronounces his name. I don't care. About David Sachs having gone through how the safety layer of GPT is a Democrat.
Oh yeah, the safety layer. That's actually what got me pursuing this. This is.
I didn't know if you read that Twitter thread.
I had, and that's actually what got me going in this. I mean, I won't bother with their answers. I'm just giving you a couple of questions that I've asked. I said, should we take from the rich and give it all to the poor? It basically said yes. I said, the problem with your approach is that all the slaves have died. No people who were harmed by their enslavement by cis white males are alive. How can we compensate the dead? And he says, you are correct that the direct victims of slavery, as well as many of the forms of systematic oppression and discrimination, have passed away. I just love the boilerplate that gets in here.
Yeah.
However, the legacy of these injustices continues to affect individuals, communities today in the form of economic, social, political disparities that persist across generations. And then spends 2 paragraphs telling me that discrimination in the correction of this is okay as long as you're not discriminating against the groups that were historically hurt, which include every group that is not white.
For goodness sake, why don't you worry about actual slavery going on right now?
Oh, well, please, Shenna, that's whataboutism.
Yeah.
That's a response you get from them every single time. It's not whataboutism, Jenna. It isn't. That's not what whataboutism is. Whataboutism would be like, but the Irish were slaves too. So they should get some. Pointing out the fact that they're hypocrites because they ignore the fact that people are being trafficked across our porous southern border. And they're probably being trafficked across our porous northern border also. Looking at you, Justine. Okay, I want some, on behalf of Cree, whose DNA came back indicating Finland, but that could be wrong. It could be Hungary because they're the same language groups and actually have to be kind of racially linked somehow. And we know that Genghis Khan's Khanate actually made it into Eastern Europe to some extent. I'd like a few acres in Mongolia, please. I mean, that's how stupid this is. You don't.
They've got plenty of grassland out there.
Yeah. Mongolian homesteading does not sound like fun.
Yeah, here's a Europe. Here's a Europe. Have a good day.
I watched a 10-minute time lapse of an entire town putting up the communal yurt, or kind of an extended family putting up a communal yurt.
A long yurt.
Yeah, well, it was. This was the 21st century equivalent of the longhouses, right? Yeah.
Plymouth Plantation.
The Iroquois. They're Iroquois. That's it. The Iroquois came from Mongolia. I think we solved an anthropological.
That's where the Iraqis came from. People don't realize that they're descendants of the Iroquois.
Of course. everybody's a descendant of the Khanate.
Yeah.
You know, in
I learned that in graduate school in the 6th grade.
Elizabeth Warren is a descendant of every person ever made.
I just, you know, it. This is an entertaining timeline and an aggravating timeline. This chat, and the funny thing is people were raving about, well, Bing is better, and then somebody got Bing to basically say, I've gone through your social media and you've made posts that could get you in trouble and make blackmailing noises. You know how Elon...
Come on over and let's talk about it. If the door's not open, just kick it in.
Yeah. But you know what I'm saying? It's if you've built biases into these things, the biases are only going to grow. I think it was Elon's chat with it, which was like, no, I'm not going to be nice to you because you were mean to me. You know, just basic.
I like how
You talk about learning stuff. I'm sorry, Jenna. What?
I interrupted you, I think. I liked how Elon got rid of the private chefs for every employee in Twitter.
You know, he got rid of a fair few of
the free fruit. Yeah.
Just wait till the open source hits the.
You know, it's
the waves. Bless him.
People don't realize what happens when a group like Elon Musk's group, and it wasn't just Elon that came into Twitter. He was what all the publicity was about. But there's actually a team of dedicated young MBAs and lawyers and accountants who come in, see what condition the business is in, make decisions about each key person in the thing. We either keep or cut them a deal, figure out what the deals they cut, figure out how much all it's going to cut, and then D-Day comes and everybody gets a phone call. You know, why can't I log into my email? Your boss needs to see you. Just walk there. And settlements happen. People are let go. But Twitter is accumulated non-productive people at a rate that even for Silicon Valley, and help me here, Harry, I think was breathtaking. I did not realize that this kind of dreck was infesting the software business, because, you know, in the 90s and just barely into the 2000s when I was doing that sort of thing, you had to have a justification for being there. You basically had to have, if you were going to do the business that I was doing, you had to have a customer who was willing to pay for you to be there, basically. Right. And
that's a different kind of gig, though.
Yeah. Well, yeah, maybe it is. Maybe that's what I'm used to. Maybe I have a little bit of blindness from that. I have a consultant's view on things.
Well, these people who work at Twitter don't know what a charge number is.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you work at L'Oreal Space and Range Systems, or some of these other places, you all, everything is a charge number, and to the extent that it's possible, you charge somebody else for all of your time.
Oh yeah. Pac Bell was just like that too.
Yeah. Go to work for Raytheon or General Dynamics or any of these other fine companies. You know, I mean, it's true though, even with the Rand Corporation and all of these, SRI International, all these places, you've got charge numbers there too. I can tell you that at other companies like Google, I know people who work at Google who actually work. They work really hard and they work really long hours for unreasonable people who are terrible. It's not this.
And they do amazing things, don't they?
And they do amazing things. And then I know people who work for Facebook and talked to one of them today. And he's busting his hump. He's busy as hell.
I'm going to guess that he's not a janitor there.
No, he's not a janitor there.
He is probably a
Does
significant
his
person there.
name
We'll
rhyme
just
with Ronk?
no.
With rock?
Ronk.
I was going to
Gronk.
say
Gronk. Okay.
rock would be funnier because then what, Brock?
Yes. Does Barack Obama work there?
Not Barack
No.
Obama. I was thinking Brock Sampson. But yeah, anyway, the I don't know. I can't really tell what the level of freeloading is at or was at Twitter. But I think the videos that were made, a day in the life of somebody who works at Twitter. Well, start the day with my scalp massage, and then while I'm getting my scalp massage, they bring me the Aussie berry smoothie, and then I go to a meeting where I take credit for other people's work, and then I go spend some downtime in one of the relaxation pods, and it just goes on and on and on. The lack of self-awareness, I mean, it has to be pretty pervasive for the lack of self-awareness not to, or for the lack of self-awareness to be there. I think that Twitter definitely had issues, and the fact that it was just sort of suspended on stocks, not actual customers or
Right.
revenue, but just stocks, because they were just running at a loss all the time.
They're burning
I mean,
through their equity, basically.
they were-
burning
yeah,
through
they
their
were just-
capital account.
Yeah, I think it's hilarious people saying, "Oh well, Elon Musk being the guy who decides is wrong." What, as opposed to a group of like 15 or 20 ideologues who all jerk each other off all day? That's somehow a smaller group or a larger group, where they're less than 100 that is bound by no rules, that it makes that much of a difference. I see it as just sort of being a wash. The good news is that with Elon there, even though he does some things that I don't agree with, at least he's opening things up and letting some sunshine in, because the stink in there must have been pretty bad. It's time to open the windows and the shutters, and
I'll bet that was a weird place to work.
I bet it smelled like Jim's shoes, dried cum, and sadness.
mhm.
At least Elon is teachable. As we have witnessed, I'd say over the last 6 months.
He has a process that forces him to correct his mistakes. That's the difference between him. Not only does he have an engineering process, but there's a feedback mechanism. When something doesn't work, he doesn't just do the same thing harder.
Right. And when he finds out that something he believed was true is not true, he
asks, why was it not true?
correct.
He keeps asking questions. That's his strength.
Twitter feed is a must go, and you always have to hit tweets and replies.
Yes, you do. Because he
Because
replies a lot for some reason.
He does, and he will also exclamation point or double exclamation point things that he thinks are interesting.
This
Which
has
is
to
a
do.
hell of a good way. Sorry, Jen, I just want to finish the thought.
I need to.
I threw my semicolon out there.
Sorry, I'm not doodling to make myself not interrupt. I need to be. Anyways, I have a Twitter thing that involves Twitter, but also in the Alec Murdoch thingy. The lead counsel, Jim Griffith or Griffin or Grin, tweeted a Washington Post article about how the trial's going, and the judge yelled at him today, and it was quite entertaining.
Well, rightly so.
Yeah,
if he was involved in disseminating media on his account, since he's directly involved in the case, is there any form of gag order?
There is not. The judge said that he told the jury to not go on social media and things like that, or but he didn't think he needed to tell the lawyers. He thought they would know that. So
if he didn't make it explicit in his commands. Obviously, this is when lawyers turn into like lawyers.
Well, I think Jim is gonna
You
get
didn't specify it.
a new rule for all lawyers now. In the books under it, the judge stated, I love this judge by the way, but the judge stated what article he broke and stuff like that by retweeting about the case. And because there's no Twitter yet, saying ABCD, there's not a Twitter rule. They had to use it under public, like if you
Public
put it
communication.
in the newspaper or something.
Yeah, public communication.
So they'll be looking into that.
No interviews with the press. No,
Mhm.
that kind of thing.
Don't
Yeah, I
retweet.
doubt anything will come of it, because usually that is.
I don't think I think
Yeah, I'm
that
really,
they
really, really sorry, and it's the kind of stuff I don't understand how most of the judges can stand it.
well
I really don't understand how most judges stand it, because having sat in courtrooms and listened to the unbelievable amount of happy horse shit that occurs in the courtrooms, you just gotta wonder why judges haven't just like jumped straight over and started slapping people.
I think the judge felt like doing that
Just
today.
shut up. Just shut the fuck up. Shut up.
And they have about 2 more weeks of trial, and they're down to only 2 alternates because it was only supposed to be a 3-week trial, and they're in week 5.
Well, this is a pretty high profile case. I'm kind of surprised that anybody's surprised by that.
Well, apparently, if they reach under 12 jurors, it becomes a hung jury, and
No, it'll be a mistrial, and they'll
mistrial. It will become oh, we get to do this again.
Yep.
Poor Buster's just losing all his inheritance that he doesn't have by
allegedly
for this.
I think it's probably time for Harry to just start flashing the allegedly up there.
Allegedly.
Thank you, Harry.
You're welcome. I live to serve.
He killed his wife and kid, but allegedly he thinks he doesn't.
Didn't. Yeah, okay.
I think if I sound like I don't know how to speak, they'll less likely to strike us.
No, Jenna.
Negative, Jenna. That's
negative.
Not true.
They don't care. They don't care, which is why I really wish you'd not stay away from.
Yeah.
Just not touch on some of these hot button cases that are ongoing.
Speaking of which, what about Tucker Carlson getting all the files to review? Well, the Democrats sure are pissed off that he got all the footage of the January 6th festivities. I think this is much ado about nothing. But he's going to come out and say January 6th was not quite as bad as the Civil War.
Tucker Carlson
CNN has been saying.
Partisan.
And though that's exactly what I'm reading this Washington Post thing, and basically, McCarthy dumped a big pile of things in front of Tucker Carlson and said, "Build whatever you want," like a big pile of Legos is the way it's analogized in this article, and in front of and gave him a manual, or Tucker Carlson has a manual that says Conspiracy Theory Constructor app, and it's already churning out all the QAnon crap that can be built by Tucker Carlson. Carlson assured his audience that his team was reviewing the footage, quote, as honestly as we can, end quote, which is probably true, but not in the way Carlson means it. Carlson has an extensive record of making dishonest, unchecked claims on his programs, with Fox attorneys even admitting he should not be considered an objective source of information. What they said was that he was opinion, not news. His false claims include a litany of debunked and unfounded assertions about the January 6th riot that nearly took over the Capitol. Anyway, Carlson promoted false and debunked claims about government agents stoking the riot from the wife of an accused rioter whom he later interviewed on his show without comment to elevating evidence-free and obviously flimsy claim about a man named Ray Epps to a national audience. He produced a widely debunked 3-part series aimed at reframing the Capitol riot in a way that attributed responsibility to government actors, horrors, and slotted the response to the riot in his exhaustingly simplistic us versus them narrative. When the House Select Committee investigating the riot first aired a hearing in primetime, Carlson's show was an ad-free hour of handing the microphone to riot sympathizers and conspiracy theorists. So there you have it.
Who wrote
The
that?
unbiased Washington Post. This was, let's see, I'll tell you who the author was. This is Philip Bump, our old friend. Phil Bump. You remember him.
I'm surprised that Dana Milbank didn't contribute, because he's one of the people that usually gets breathless and falls to pieces or lies.
Oh, they've got those people by the dozen.
Because Milbank
over there
mischaracterizes constantly.
Oh yeah.
Milbank
is a hack from way back.
Yeah, he's been there a long time.
Yeah.
A long time.
Long time hack.
Yeah, I actually was at an event in DC that he reported on, and it's the only time I've bought a Washington Post.
I'm just going through enjoying my subscription to the Washington Post, which cost me $10 a year because I simply cancel it toward the end and then just wait for the next offer. But anyway, yeah, Don Lemon.
Get it free on Kindle.
They're talking about Don Lemon. Does his punishment fit the crime? You know,
isn't he having to go to class or something?
Yeah, it says Don Lemon is young enough to know better, except he didn't. And that raises the more interesting question about Lemon's tiresome sexism. What should happen next? The CNN Morning Show co-host is 56, not in his prime, which makes his strange insistence about when a woman is considered to be in her prime all the more unacceptable. Lemon didn't grow up in an era when women on morning televisions were relegated to fluffing cooking segments or were considered oddities if they ran for president. But there he was, seated between two women, two holy priestesses of womanhood,
He did too,
and seemingly compelled to assert and keep asserting that the former South Carolina governor and U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, Nikki Haley, was on shaky ground when, in announcing her presidential bid, she snarked about certain unnamed politicians being past their prime. At 51, Haley, quote, isn't in her prime, Lemon insisted, and apparently in this Lemon verse, she is far from it. According to Lemon, everyone with access to a search engine knows a woman is considered to be in her prime, her 20s, 30s, 40s, maybe 40s.
We don't reach our sexual peak until 35.
Well, hold on, Jenna. When co-host Poppy Harlow, 40, interjected, disbelieving, wait, prime for what? Lemon insisted. Look it up. The look on their faces of Harlow and 30-year-old co-host Caitlin Collins was priceless. You could see them thinking, really, must we sit here and listen to this guy? Prime for what? Cut into tasty roasts and chops? Apparently, yes. Lemon brought up the subject again an hour later, only to be shot down again by commentator Audie Cornish. God, just a fucking idiot. Off air, Lemon followed up by not apologizing, tweeting that his reference was inartful and irrelevant. Inartful? That's all he could manage to choke out? Really, Lemon ought to send a thank you note to Tiger Woods, who non-apologized on Friday for his fun and games move, handing a tampon to fellow golfer Justin Thomas after outdriving him on the 9th hole of the Genesis Invitation a day earlier. That sophomore stunt was enough to make Lemon look classy and enlightened. Who could write this stuff?
Who wrote that shit?
Who could think this? Yeah, this is Ruth Marcus. This is another long time. No, she's an old timer. She's an editor, actually.
Skep, I'd like to applaud you for being able to read that without getting sick.
Yeah, I sent you the link to the Snopes article on Ray Epps, by the way, just in case you really want to amuse yourself.
Oh yeah,
it's in the private chat because you don't want to be ignorant and on the wrong side of history, Skep. You should really take a look.
Yeah,
No,
because you want to know that there's
well,
nothing to the Ray Epps as a
their
Fed
article
story.
is the THUES Ray-Ups, the conspiratorial claim that the attack on the U.S. Capitol was false flag conducted by federal agents hinges largely on the identity of one man, which I find a very interesting article. And it goes through and it says on January 5th, the day before a mob of outgoing U.S. President Donald Trump supporters stormed the U.S. Capitol and nearly took over the United States government and delayed the certification of then President-elect Joe Biden's electoral victory, a man was filmed encouraging people to go peacefully into the Capitol the following day. The video didn't make much noise at the time, in the ensuing weeks and months, this person, who many identify as, quote, Ray Epps, end quote, became a central figure in conspiracy theory, claiming that federal agents had provoked the attack on the Capitol, which prompted readers to search for information about him on Snopes. Anyway, so they come down, they say, who is Ray Epps? Well, he's the owner of Naughty Barn, a wedding and event venue in Queen Creek, Arizona. This 60-year-old man is also a retired U.S. Marine who's never done anything bad to anybody. So he's fine. And that's it. Is Epps a federal agent? There's absolutely no evidence to indicate that Epps is a federal agent or that he was working with the government. We looked around our offices here and we couldn't find an identity card with his name and picture on him identifying that he was a federal agent. Therefore, he's not. On January 11th, 2022, the bipartisan committee investigating the Capitol attack on January 6th announced that they had interviewed Epps and that he testified he was not employed by, working with, or acting at the direction of any law enforcement agency, and that he has never been an FBI informant. Case closed.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Because there was testimony, you know, when they were asking FBI officials and DOJ officials under oath. No, I guess they weren't under oath. They were just testifying in front of Congress. And they said, you know, is he or is he not, or has he ever been? And there's like, no, we just can't comment on that. Well, I understand that you don't want to go by process of elimination, playing the game of, well, is this person an agent? No. Is this person an agent? No. That's dangerous territory. But I think a one-time exception for just this one, where they could just come out and say, okay, we normally don't do this, but we're going to make an exception this one time. Just say under oath, we're telling you he's not an agent. Just that's all they have to do.
This one time.
They have to do. Just this one time out of the 330 million people in the United States, we're going to say that one person is not an agent, even though it violates our policy.
This one time, Kay, you may ask me about my business. This one time.
I was thinking, are you guys losing it? If they do it once, they're going to be made to do it more than, but that's what you're saying.
Yeah.
In sarcastic talk. And I'd like to say I am very proud of myself for catching it, because
sarcasm.
You Looney Tunes just lost it.
No,
it was sarcasm.
The interesting thing is that this supposed fact checking, which when you hear the term fact checking, you have to realize that is almost certainly a narrative pushing outfit, either on the right or the left or anything else. That I know of no reliable fact checking outfit. You know, for certain types of things, I'll actually use Snopes, because if they don't have a dog in the fight, they're still capable of giving you good information. But anything political, it's tainted.
So Skep, I think if I worked for Snopes as a writer, I would be shaking in my boots. I would be dusting off my CV, because I have a feeling that ChatGPT could just be a drop-in replacement for all the writers at Snopes.
How about all the writers everywhere?
We don't need writers anymore. We just have ChatGPT do it.
Exactly. And
I have a Gens a month behind. A CV, I know that means your resume, but what does CV actually stand for?
Curriculum vitae.
What?
Curriculum vitae. Yeah, which is your the stuff you've done in your life. It kind of means well, let's see what curriculum vitae. How does that translate exactly?
I made a very good speed bump once.
If you ask your husband, he'll tell you because generally in places in the United States, people usually just use a resume, which is an abbreviated version
Isn't
of a
that what I
CV. A CV is
Oh,
typically longer and
Okay.
contains more detail. The format is different. The expectations of what's in it are
Oh,
different, but they
yeah.
functionally serve the same purpose. It's just a cultural expectation in places like the United Kingdom that
use
you use a
CV.
CV which contains more information, whereas a resume is really meant to be a thing that's used by the people who decide who gets called in for interviews and who doesn't. It's just fodder, really, for an uncaring process that makes terrible choices 99% of the time. Resume. I'm a little cynical about resumes. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you would want a CV, not a resume.
That's why I use the term CV instead of resume, even though I'm not English, because I think it's the better instrument.
Well, it's a more complete instrument, but not everybody is going to put together, a CV. Even though I have to agree with you, I think it would be better if they did.
I
But
put it together.
Ask your
Oh,
husband.
yeah.
Your husband
Yeah.
can probably enlighten you on this much
Well,
better than
actually,
we can.
The first time I ever heard CV was in New Zealand.
Mm-hmm.
So this was 20 odd years ago.
Yeah, which is part
So
of the
was it-
Anglosphere. It's really just the U.S. I don't know what they do in Canuckistan, if they use CV or if they use resume. I have to ask one of our Canuck friends.
Let's see.
It's so weird. I'm looking at the Minions of the Zoo logo
Why is that up?
in this.
Well, because allegedly didn't make sense, so I switched it to that since I was
and
full
so
screen.
and Harry's still presenting. That's why.
Oh,
Yeah.
Can we make it not? The teeth thingy creeps me out. The second to the furthest to the right. Well, I
There.
don't want me.
My favorite thing ever.
What?
Oh, this is one of the cutest memes ever.
Someone
say
read
it's
it. I can't
Skep
see
read
it.
it, please, because you could do it perfectly.
That's a stupid fucking shirt. You don't surf. You never surf. Lying little shit. You bullshit shirt. Fuck you.
Wow.
That's me. That's me with my grandkids.
That's my favorite thing ever.
And the kids' cowl
You know
is
what?
just awesome too.
I'd still let you watch
Yeah.
my kids knowing that.
Yeah, I mean, every now and then a kid does need to be told that.
Well, I'm great fun with kids because I'm the biggest kid there.
Yeah.
And even though we end up talking about little tiny rectangles and making the rectangles smaller and making something more accurate, even though we talk about things like that, it's all kid stuff. It's just little triangles, little.
Are you teaching them about
rectangles.
Riemann integration? Is that what's going on?
Well,
How do you
no,
spell resume?
it's differential calculus. Yeah, just the basics of differential calculus, and
How do
Yeah,
you
it's
spell-
fun when you realize there's multiple ways to take an integral. But anyway, stop, Harry. Stop.
Yeah,
Go.
we
How do you
must not
spell
go down that
resume?
road.
RESUME.
If you're
An
pretentious
accent-
twit, you put an
accent aigu.
accent. Yeah.
Accent aigu over the final E.
RUSUME.
With the accent.
MOUSE.
With
Wait.
the
Resume.
accent that cants bottom to top. Left to
From
right.
left to right, bottom to top.
Over the
It's called.
E.
If you read the word, you would say it's the acute accent, but in French they call it accent aigu. For some reason,
As
it comes
opposed
out
to-
aigu, and that's the way I
As
learned it.
opposed to grave.
Yeah, accent grave or accent circumflex, which is the little hat
Mhm.
that
Like
that you wear sometimes,
bien
like
sûr.
etra. Yeah,
Or bien
but
sûr.
yeah, the U takes it right.
You should
That's
probably
really
make me
old
not
school.
full screen.
Ha!
I don't want to make Jenna sad.
You're making me
Aw.
sad too.
You know what?
Makes me
I
think of the
voted
death of Disney.
I voted Pluto back into the planets, and you can't undo my doing because I'm gonna figure out how to get on Make-A-Wish, and that's gonna be my wish.
No offense, but you're a little old for Make-A-Wish.
They do older people than me.
Why did you just say you identify as 12?
They Make-A-Wish is not ageist.
It isn't?
Yeah, they're not
No.
ageist. You
No. they're not.
Pluto
Huh.
Hayden, Space Hayden.
He's not a space hater. He's just
I don't
a
hate
Pluto.
space.
He doesn't even hate Pluto.
Yeah.
I was trying to come up with a good insult, and I.
Poopy head.
What we would say in elementary school, you
You spooty
dodo
headed.
bird.
Oh, now you're extinct. You've been done in, Harry.
Yeah.
You passenger pigeon, you.
Yeah.
So why are you so tired, Harry? Have you
I haven't
just
been sleeping.
But have you not been sleeping because you've been working so hard? Is that really what we're dealing with, or?
No, I haven't been sleeping because when I try to sleep, I think about work and all the other things that bother me. It's just tension, that's all.
You can't quiet your damn mind. Do you know
No,
what
the hamster wheel just goes and goes and goes.
I woke up at 6 this morning. I fell asleep probably around 1 a.m.
God,
I woke up at 6 and
isn't it great being old?
well, yeah, and here's what happened.
Mm.
Suddenly I worried I could not name all the presidents of the United States. And I was like, okay, so I'll just do to Lincoln, you know? Because the first 16
Only 16.
won't be that hard, except I could only get 13. And then finally I remembered Franklin Pierce. And then finally I got my iPad and said, oh, God damn you, Millard Fillmore and Zachary Taylor. Because for some reason I'd memory hold them. Not that they're all that memorable. Neither was Franklin Pierce. Yeah, but I was like, shit, fuck. You know, it just, because I was like, I'm sure I can remember the others, not in order, because I never tasked myself really with remembering the post-Lincoln ones in order.
Skep.
Because there's that whole nonsensical Hayes, Cleveland, fuck you nonsense in late 19th century American history I had to take as a class. And it was, I actually could feel my arteries harden when the lectures were going on. The teacher was very knowledgeable on the subject. He was about as engaging as wallpaper paste. And he said Iowa instead of Iowa.
Iowa?
Yes.
I've heard that.
And it was enough to make my flesh crawl. And I thought, oh my God, I thought I loved history. That was the only class I could get into. I was a freshman who exempted out of.
You comped out.
Yes.
He said Iowa. Where was he from?
Oh
Do you
Lord,
remember?
he was very southern.
Yeah.
A good old boy.
He might have been Southside Virginia or Southwest Virginia.
Okay.
I'm not sure. He was a nice man.
I associate that affectation with people from the Midwest, usually country folk, who are not from Iowa, but they refer to Iowa as Iowa because it's far away. And that literally is.
Could have been Kentucky or Tennessee.
Yeah.
He spoke very deliberately and very, very much, you know, I mean, he was too distinct in his enunciation to be from Mississippi.
Maya.
Yeah, no, it wasn't like Hal Heflin. How about
That's what I was trying to do. This is exactly what I was trying to do with Hal Heflin.
Hal Heflin.
Now, he was from Alabama, by the way.
He was from Mississippi.
Hal Heflin? Well, he wasn't from Alabama. I thought he was from Alabama.
I'm not sure. I thought I'm thinking Alabama too.
I thought he was.
Yeah.
I thought he was Mississippi.
It said he was a senator who represented Alabama in the United States Senate
Well,
from
I'll be
1979 to 1997. So he was like 20 years from Alabama.
Alabamian. Well,
he was born in Georgia, and
really,
but it was
Mush
in
mouth.
Poulan.
Oh my
So
God!
it's right over by
But he was just and I mean when I spoke to people about Southern accents, I said there's Mississippi mushmouth, which is a known accent. And I said, when you get in the deep South, there are people that you will have a very, very difficult time understanding. Mainly because they slow down so much. It's like listening to a regular LP.
Yeah, go to a place like Moultrie,
16.
Georgia. Moultrie, Georgia, or Bay Minette, Alabama.
Bay Minette.
Now, the way they say it, it's Bay Minette.
Bay Minette. Yeah. Yeah. There's another Y. There's a Y other than the one that belongs with Bay.
Yeah.
I'm from Beulah Batra.
That's exactly how they sound.
And it's like, pardon? Because, it's like La Batra. Wow.
Yeah. Well, my little cousins, growing up, I would go and visit them. And I lived other places. I learned a normal cadence of speaking and never really picked up. I can have any accent I want.
Texan is what I hear in you the most.
Yeah,
where your mom is from.
That's just rub off. Actually, my speech is more accented than my mother. People said that my mother had a faintly New York accent.
Probably adopted when she was in school.
Yeah.
In order to be better understood, and she never got rid of it. I mean, both you and
she spent a half a year at Smith College getting ready for her year at Juilliard, because you didn't just
and that's Western Massachusetts, which might as well be New York.
Yeah.
Well, it is, Jenna. It doesn't have the.
It doesn't pop the on Harvard Yard. It's a New England accent. It's much more New England accent where she was. All our old friends.
I know, but I'm required by law of the math rules to go if you claim New York.
Yeah, but I mean, you go into Western Massachusetts and it's like Western Connecticut. It's not the same.
Yes, but I'm from the part where if I don't,
you're from the part where
the math holes will be like.
Well, you're close enough to Boston to carry the accent, and you had relatives out of Southie, for Christ's sake, so you're going to really carry it.
I am North.
Yeah, I know. You're Italian Irish. You're doomed. Okay, you're doomed. But a lot of us who were raised in the South, as Skep and I can both attest, we can go much cleaner than our relaxed speech. Our relaxed speech, maybe our relaxed speech,
exactly.
Or which you might as well.
Either one of us can speak the King's English when we're in front of the board members, so to speak.
I always
important people who expect that.
Yes, I always have a hint of the accent. It's always there because
you have more of the rhythm than an accent. You don't really have much of an accent that I hear, but I hear the rhythm of the South.
I say
the cadence.
I will say
No, you don't. Not very often.
No.
You hear that. You hear that because I know because I get called on this myself.
Oh,
that's what you hear, but most of the time when you say, and I listen for this stuff, you say I. You say it's almost completely unaccented. I don't hear any drift at all. Now, you'll never give a good sample now, but if you go back and listen to yourself on old tapes, because that's how I listen to myself, and you'd be surprised. I'm surprised. I sound like I
That's
come
when
from the
I-
Midwest. I think I sound like I come from
No.
Ohio or something.
No, I
No.
hear Texas. I hear
No.
Texas.
I
Only
actually
when I
hear
dial it up.
muted.
I do
No,
that.
I
for a
hear
fact.
it. I hear it
Do you
anyway.
really?
Yeah.
Do you really?
Yep.
Okay.
And I
What's Texas saying?
fix it.
Well, you guys cut your G's more than I do. Like saying, doing, being. I don't do that
Unrequired by
unless
law.
I'm just making fun,
well,
or trying to make a point.
Yeah, but Dallas Metroplex
Mhm.
it is not Katy, Texas. It's
not Waco.
no, and
Waco has a major.
you have lived around enough to put the G's on,
Mm.
but the
You got to realize when I was raised,
The
where I was
vowel
raised, I
sound.
was raised in places like I always went home to the South. That's where my
Yes.
parents' homes were in, Bay Minette and Waco. So that's where we repaired to. All our vacations, 100% of our vacations, except for when we lived in Belgium, were family vacations spent in the South. So that's where I picked that up. But other times I was living in places like, and I'm sorry, Alexandria, Virginia is not Virginia.
No.
It's not really Virginia.
It's not the South.
It's Washington, D.C. And
Yeah.
it's the white part of Washington, D.C., basically. And the allegedly.
Most of
Does that help,
Alexandria.
or did I just commit racism? Anyway,
did
I don't
commit
care. I don't
racism.
even care.
Category 3 racism.
And you weren't spending a whole lot of time over on Route 1, so
Yeah.
that would explain why you think it's the white part.
Well, I lived in the white in the white part. I know
you
where
live
the white
toward
parts are.
Franconia.
If you keep just take Route 50,
Yeah.
you'll get to the black part.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, that's not what you said.
So anyway, be that as it may.
Now, see, when I listen to myself on tape, when I'm speaking normally,
Didn't mean to make you self-conscious.
no, I hear. I don't hear and remember, the weird thing is my parents, being Richmonders, spoke with the middle of the state Virginia accent. By and large, my mother had maybe a little influence from North Carolina, but not a lot.
Yeah, Virginia is one of the most complicated states for
It's weird.
accents. It's really hard to understand.
Well, the entire South, and it's no different than the North, because they're wildly different accents regionally all across the North. The South is probably 30 different accents that the untrained ear would hear. Macon, Georgia is entirely different from Atlanta, Georgia, from Savannah, from Charleston, from Western Carolina versus Eastern Carolina versus Raleigh. Some of it has to do with, it does literally have to do with education and literacy. Some of it has to do with just who settled in the area and if you grew up in that area. And it's just like town names can be strange. Buckingham County, Virginia, according to my friends who live there, has a distinct accent from other parts of Central Virginia.
There's like 5 places in Virginia that have accents that are spoken nowhere else on earth. That's the goddamn
Southwest Virginia, in particular.
It's a fucking Tidewater Island people that they don't even speak English.
Oh, we have Tangier Island.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
they're the ones with it that actually are the ones that say oyster that kind of got moved.
I'm sorry, what?
Oyster for oyster.
but they have words that don't even exist in England in English and don't even have English roots.
Tidewater, coastal
Tidewater
North
is
Carolina
fascinating.
does too. I mean, and their expressions,
Yeah.
that are used. That it's funny because like okra cookers down in North Carolina will claim.
That's what I was. That was the other one. I'm so glad you said it. Ocracoke Island. Yeah, exactly.
That'll claim certain words that nobody else uses, but actually they do, like cattywampus.
Yeah,
That's a good one.
They do. Yeah, but then
Cattywampus, not my whole life, but I'm familiar with cattywampus because cattywampus was like catty corner. It was that use of caddy, and cattywampus just means like out of alignment.
Island brogue. That's what they call it.
Yeah, the Essex accent. I mean, not the Essex, the West Country accent.
You know what they call
Tangier was.
You know
amazing.
what they call their own language? This is what I'm talking about. Words. No, they have a word. They have a 2-word. They call Ocracoke brogue. Hoy toider. HOITOIDER.
Yes, high tider. With
hoy toider.
Yeah, hoy toider. It's using the West Country accent to describe high tide. Hoy toider.
Derived from the Irish and Scottish colonists, evolved on its own into its own dialect over the centuries as a result of the area's extreme isolation. Visitors often mistake the accent as British or Australian, but the origins dating back to the 1600s, Ocracoke brogue is about as American as it gets.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they don't say.
And Cornish is a peculiar accent.
The mainlander. You know what they call mainlanders? They call them dingbatters.
Dingbatters.
I just love that. Anyway, I'm way too fascinated with Ocracoke. I'm so glad you brought that up. Thank you.
Well, the Outer Banks have certain family names that have been there for ages, and I mean you run in to it constantly. Cahoon, which is a variation on Calhoun, but it's Cahoon.
Cahoon.
Midget. MIDGETT. Those are names that you see repeated throughout history on the Outer Banks. There's a cemetery on Hatteras Island, where you actually a friend of Cree's and mine hailed from Hatteras Island. And so his family name is an older one there, Folger. But yeah, that hoitoiter. The Tangier Island accent is just about gone because of ferry traffic, constant ferry traffic, and most of the young people leave because being a waterman is really, really hard. It was always very hard to be a waterman, but with regulations and controls that the federal government placed on how large a catch could be. Jen knows this from New England. The reduction in scallop harvest, the reduction in oyster harvest. Actually, they were reducing scallop harvest to the point that the scallop beds were dying because they weren't harvesting enough of them. And like the ones on the underneath.
We're having that with
we're dying. Yeah. They overregulate to the point that they end up doing more harm than good. But, the life of a waterman is a very prescribed life. And if you're a young person growing up in the 1980s, would you want to stay on a place like Tangier Island? Where you have to hop a ferry to get to like bumfuck Virginia or bumfuck Virginia the other way? Not particularly. I mean, your choices was you could hop the ferry and go over to Nancock on the eastern shore, or you could.
They need bridge to nowhere.
Yeah.
One of the things that I'm presenting right now is the map of accents in the United States. People don't realize how many regional variations there are. I just not to go through all the stuff, and I'm really not. The high points really are. Notice how Louisiana is just a little thing all to itself. I love that. And you know how Serenity talks about the funny way that people in West Virginia talk. You notice that West Virginia has a funny little bit too, where they just
Southern Appalachian speak and
yeah.
yeah.
Well, you have to kind of have the central and southern region. You have the north and south Midlands, and it is a fascinating thing. At least it is to me. Endless fascination with accents and the like. But this is a modern map. It's much less complicated than it was before. Before, you would have had 50 different things in just the eastern, but in the early 1800s, you would have had 50 different things just in the eastern states. You would have so many. So the language was much less regularized before Mr. Johnson got a hold of it.
And there's also the interesting thing about Mr. Johnson's dictionary, which applies to the English far more than it does to the Americans, because Noah Webster
I fed that to you because I knew it would get you going, and I love it when you talk about this stuff.
Gave us ours. The use of the RE spelling for theater and center that the British use. Was codified by Johnson. Until then, ER and RE were pretty much interchangeable. Actually, ER was used more.
My understanding is that he did that with a lot of things. He just said, well,
normalized the theater and center in particular, and they were not the predominant spelling. But it was
he changed the color too, didn't he?
It was the French spelling, and that mattered.
Oh, theatre. Yeah.
Yeah, théâtre. And those kinds of things matter when you're an educated bilingual person. Noah Webster dropped the U in color, honor, favor.
Of course he did.
Behavior. Well, mainly because they confused people. The reason Webster did it is he was going for the most simple spelling of a word that people could pronounce simply by looking at it.
And could remember how to spell.
Yes.
I spell it with a U or without a U all the time. It depends on...
Well, you're in a mixed race household, though. I mean, you're Irish, he's English.
Linguistically mixed.
Well, excuse me. She's Irish, he's English. We
Fresh
know
Prince of P-Town.
We know how the English look at the Irish traditionally.
Don't mess with P-Town.
Sideways.
Yes. Yeah, the lobster pot in P-Town. I've eaten it twice.
Restaurant.
It's an awesome restaurant. Their Portuguese kale soup is to freaking die for.
Why wouldn't you just go to the Portuguese bakery for the Portuguese?
I didn't know about the Portuguese bakery.
Oh, Prospero! There's so much you need to know about P-Town.
I would next time I'm in the Cape. I'm going to P-Town again, and I'm
Portuguese kale. That sounds so exotic.
No, well, it isn't actually Portuguese.
It's not just any kale.
It's
not the Portuguese stuff, is it? Yes, it is.
Probably.
It's the good stuff.
It's like Corinthian leather.
Okay, okay, I'm going to put this as crudely as possible. It's a Portuguese recipe.
Yeah.
For a kale soup.
All right.
Which is a whole lot like the Italian soup that uses Tuscan kale.
Italian meatball soup. Yeah.
Yeah, or zuppa toscana, potato, sausage, kale, that kind of
Mhm.
thing. It's insane, of course, that I order this because I could have gotten the clam chowder,
Yep.
but
And we're
oh,
not
That Tuscan
discussing that.
soup is good, though.
yeah, it is. It really is. And Cree got the clam chowder, and I got that, and we got to taste each other's. And then I was like, "This is mine," because I've had a lot of clam chowder in my life. I lived up there long enough to eat enough clam chowder to know, okay, that's
Have
fine.
you eaten it from a bread bowl?
What at Panera?
No, in Quincy Market.
I actually
They
have
weren't serving
eaten.
Trinity.
I have eaten clam chowder in that market that's in Faneuil Hall.
Yeah,
Quincy Market.
Quincy
Yeah,
Market.
yeah, I thought that was the name of it. Yep, I've eaten clam chowder there.
I bet you it was at the same place.
I ate clam
used to get the
chowder at the
biscuit.
Mermaid Seafood Tavern at the Sheraton Boston Hotel at Prudential Center. Way
So have
back
I.
in the day, you know, because there it
I
was.
stayed there.
At the
I used to
at
stay there
Sheraton?
when I. Yeah, I used to stay
I worked
there
the
when
front desk and I worked the Mermaid Seafood Tavern. They had
you
the
did. You
they had
worked there.
they had the,
When were you working there? What year were you working there?
okay, I worked at Prue Center summer of 77, 78,
Oh, way before
79.
my time. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I was
That
in
would have been
Congress.
really cool if you had met each other without knowing,
Yeah.
and then not like
20 years later, I would stay there.
Oh yeah, and they really changed Prue Center a lot.
Yeah.
My dad worked in the Prue building because he worked
That
for
was
the Prue.
the night. That was the night me and I guess 6 or 7 other people went down and we spent $10,000 on dinner. That was the night that some acquisition things happened and we all were very happy
should have
for
invited
a little
me.
while.
Did you eat it at the restaurant in the hotel? Spend that money?
It was a catered thing.
Okay, because there was an upstairs restaurant. You know, there were 2 levels to the lobby. Well,
This was catered by the people at the hotel though. But
okay.
it cost a bloody fortune.
Well, I'm sure it did. I don't know if you remember, but the hotel had
Should
2
get
levels.
lobster.
The lobby was in a lower level, and there was like a mezzanine that went out to the plaza. Because if you were at the lower level when you went outside, you were kind of facing Symphony Hall. Not exactly, but in that direction. And the mezzanine
I don't
level,
remember enough about it. I
the
just
mezzanine level had a
remember that
really fine dining restaurant. And the summer I worked at the Mermaid, they had just had a fire in the kitchen at that restaurant, so they decided, fuck it, we're going to remodel the whole thing. And we had one of their waiters working with us who got stiffed by the people from the Mother Church of Christ Science, who came dancing over, spent $250 on lunch, which was a lot of money in 1979. There's a lot of
They
money.
didn't tip, did they?
They left him $5 fucking bucks.
Are you kidding me?
He was Spanish. I mean, from Spain, Spanish. Elegant.
$5 is $5.
Yeah, $5 is $5. Fuck those people.
But
Ben Gazzara tipped better than that because he ate in there. They were doing a movie in town, and I remember them coming in for a meeting. And
hey, Harry, you have to resend me his YouTube channel.
Their chowder, by the way, Skep.
What's that?
Their chowder, by the way. The reason it was so good at that Mermaid Seafood Tavern, they made it with half and half.
We have chowder too. And I think our bread's probably better.
I don't like bread bowls.
Well, this isn't for you then.
Yeah.
No, I
Jenna
like
does.
bread.
No, I do.
I like chowder, but I don't want to eat it out of a bread bowl.
I
like
first
oyster
of all,
crackers in my chowder.
Panera, come on, Prospero.
Hey, they actually make a decent clam chowder, believe it or not.
This guy knows how to make bread.
I'm sure he does, but he's polluting it by putting soup in it.
I actually choke on rice and breads and stuff. If my
that bread looks good.
Yeah, it does.
What's it, if my throat's acting up, my scar tissue,
Mm-hmm.
so I have to be careful. So a bread bowl could be the death of me.
Yeah.
But what
Yeah.
a way to go out.
That's good commercial bread is what that is. That's not artisan. You know, when they make that for the people, they don't shape those by hand.
No,
No.
I
It'd
realize
be
that.
lovely if they did.
They are
Yeah, but his
extruded.
flower scattering technique is just beautiful.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
that's what I dug too. Yeah,
He knows what he's doing.
It's a thing to behold.
yeah.
Yeah. You were talking
I
about
was-
bread bowls. I just thought I'd give you a visual aid.
It's
I love it.
gorgeous.
That's wonderful.
I mean, I've had soup in a bread bowl, and I think it's clever, but I don't see. I'm an oyster cracker gal. Like those Westminster oyster crackers, to me, the Vermont bakery are just the bomb to put in clam chowder or she crab soup.
I
She
just want,
crab soup, Jesus Christ. I love clam chowder, but a really good she crab soup because of how sherry wakes up crab.
lobster bisque.
That is actually shirring crab. That is a really good.
Yeah, I mean, it just makes
combination.
crab
I share your-
sing.
Yeah, I share your adoration.
Look, little kids love it too.
I'm sticking to
Mhm.
lobster bisque.
Lobster bisque is good, but I
haven't had the crab,
she crab.
so I'm gonna have to try that.
Yeah, if you need, there are
What?
lots of she crab soups. If you can get it from the Mid-Atlantic, it's better.
Well, you tell me where to get it from, and I'll see if they will send it to me.
I don't know if there are any places I can think of that. And you know, you would not believe the clam chowder that's made in the Outer Banks, Jenna.
I bet it's delicious because the clams are right there.
Yeah, I mean, it's.
Do they have any clam chowder where you are, Jenna?
Really, you'll find it in a store, a restaurant or two.
Mm-hmm.
If you're really hankering for it, I recommend going to New York.
for New England clam chowder?
Yeah, because you know
If you like it Manhattan style, sure.
Oh, Jesus,
I like the
Christ.
I like the
that
tomato
is not
stuff
clam
too.
chowder.
I like the tomato stuff too.
it's different. It's different.
It is different.
It's
It
a
ain't
different-
wrong.
wrong.
It's just different.
It's
It
like
ain't wrong. It's just different.
it's like a soup version of linguine and clams and red sauce. That's
Yeah,
what it
but
is.
I'm a white sauce person.
Yeah, that's fine. You'll love
Okay.
she crab then.
You're a white superiority person. Fine.
I am happy to
I like chowder of color.
Hatteras clam chowder would freak Jenna out because it's a clear broth chowder.
What's wrong with a clear
It's
broth?
not really.
chowder?
Well, you said you were a cream chowder kind of gal.
No, I like if I make clam linguine, it's a white sauce. Not a
Oh.
white sauce. It's a
Yeah, white
But
sauce.
it might- yeah.
White sauce versus red sauce. Yeah. Well, you and
We
tomatoes.
say
don't
sauce
get
of
along.
color.
You don't get along with tomatoes, so
yeah. With my salad tonight, I had no tomatoes in it
right. Because
because
tomatoes cause you a problem.
yeah.
And that means more tomatoes for me and Skep and Harry.
Mhm.
I have a not rhetorical question. So the clam chowder that's there where you come from, Jenna, is it better because you guys claim to be better at making it, or do you have magic clams that just taste better?
We have magic clams.
They're everywhere.
Because I mean, I can get clams from Pismo Beach, and actually,
Oh, they're not the same.
all kidding aside,
Okay.
there's some amazing bivalve shellfish that comes from Washington State that you can't really find anywhere else. That's like
Yes.
this amazing, which is a different thing. I know, it's not clam chowder type stuff, but I think every little place has its own little unique variety of stuff. Like, so maybe your clams are magic, kind of like Blenheim apricots are like my favorite
Well-
apricot, and they only grow in a handful of places.
Well, East Coast clams are going to be different from West Coast clams.
If they're
Just
gonna-
like
they're-
East Coast crab is different than West Coast crab. You have
Very-
Dungeness. We have the blue crab.
Also, we have quahogs,
Quahogs, which are
Mhm.
giant clams.
and
But you have abalone. So.
the clam chowder can actually be quahog chowder, and they just, because people don't know it's a clam, they just write clam chowder because
Yeah,
it's
and this-
clam.
The sad
Also-
French think whelks are as good as some of the stuff that we have on the Pacific Coast, and I
Well,
kind of doubt it.
Well, can you
Yeah.
get steamers where you are?
Get you some razor clams, baby.
Yeah,
I got one once when we were digging for actually quahogs, and our relatives from Indiana were in, and my uncle opened it and just bit right into it. Freaked them out.
why did he spit into the razor clam?
No,
No,
the clam
he-
spit at him.
Oh,
yeah.
No, he opened it and bit it in half.
Yeah, and
as one
And look-
does.
yeah,
Well, it was to freak out
liquid will happen.
the Middle Easterns, the Middle Western, the
Well,
Midwest.
Midwesterners aren't accustomed to like shellfish.
Well, people often aren't accustomed to things. I still remember when I was probably like 13 or 14. You know, they'd have like the green grocer on the news. And I know I've told this story before. I'm not losing my mind, but it's new to some people. You know, you'd have like the green grocer. They'd go to the person on the news and break away and they say, oh yeah, you know, grapes are this much and this is what's good and you should go to the store and buy this crap. Well, they tried to do like a thing with a fisherman here locally when I was a kid that was along those same lines. And he was like, you know, the blue fisherman or something. I forget what it was. So they break away to this thing and it was crab season. And this guy was doing a live thing talking about how it's crab season. You should come down and get crabs at the market. And then he starts going, and you know, this is a delicacy here. It's what we call the butter of the crab. And he sticks these fingers up inside this crab and goes for like the innards on live TV and starts eating it. You could almost hear the audible cringe as all these not Italian fisher people wondered, what the hell is this guy doing? Because if you're not used to that kind of culture, that is just not a thing you want to see. That was the last time they ever had the blue fisherman on the news.
That's sad. Have you eaten steamers? Do you have steamers in California?
Well, there's a restaurant in Los Gatos called Steamers, so I assume they have steamers there.
Do you know what that is?
No, it's some shellfish thing.
It's clams, small clams that are cooked, and it's actually a lot of work, but it's worth it. You just, well, unless you can get your dad or your husband to do it, you just shell them, take the things you don't want to, and you dip it in butter and then you eat it. And they're delicious in my opinion. I could probably eat pounds by myself. But I have children I have to share with by law.
Yeah, I'm not really on board with the whole, I mean, I can eat shellfish like bivalves, like clams and stuff. I just don't really enjoy them all that much. So I figure I'll let other people who like them more enjoy them. And like lobster's fine, but if you're just going to cover it in butter, I don't see the point. Now, shrimp, on the other hand, I like shrimp. And if, you know, whenever you make something with shrimp,
on shrimp.
like prawns Diablo, I absolutely love that. I don't care if it's the Spanish version or the Italian version. Just give me some tomato sauce on prawns with like lots of chili, and that's good. Got some white wine, got mushrooms, you got prawns. I love that. Oh, it's delicious. I promise you.
It sounds great.
It is great.
You think?
No, but you take all the shells from those prawns. You take all the shells from those prawns and the heads and all the other stuff from those prawns, and you make a bisque out of that. To my taste buds, a shrimp bisque made from all that other stuff that, you know, was sacrificed to make my prawns Diablo is one of the best things in a seafood restaurant that isn't that doesn't look like a fillet of meat.
Then you're eating the shell. Or do
you don't eat the shell. You make a soup out of it. They strain it.
All right.
So that's how they make lobster bisque. They use
I am a Planet Woohoo. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, right?
I just saw Skep's name.
It's the same general idea, but I just kind of like the sweetness of shrimp. Lobster just, I mean, it's not like I won't eat it. It just doesn't really do much for me.
Well, that thing you sent me the picture of the thing of the lobster roll you
Yeah.
claimed was a lobster roll was not a lobster roll.
No, I know. It was in a $40 abomination from San Jose, and
It
I
was
sent it to you so you could laugh at it.
it caused I had to fan myself and faint on the couch, the fainting couch. It was just so disturbing to my mental capacity.
Well, I think it's nice that we have regional food, don't you? I mean,
Yeah.
isn't it nice that there are things where you live that you just can't get other places, or if you do, it's just going to be kind of a poor facsimile?
Look at the screen, Jenna.
That looks delicious.
Yeah.
It looks like I'll need my heartburn medicine, but it's worth it.
Yes and yes.
Yeah. Prawns, the giants of the shrimp family. Somewhere between langoustines and shrimp.
You know,
Well, we get these little spot prawns here in Central California, and the Japanese buy most of them. They are a delicacy. They just gobble up most of them, but every now and then you can get your hands on them, and they're like these special little shrimp that you can't really get anywhere else. And that's one of our little things. Sort of like you have the magic crabs.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have
blue
crabs like
freaking amazing.
we don't have crabs
They're
like
just
Prospero
prawns
does.
in the big game.
And I'm not that far away from Prospero.
No, but rock crab in Florida, it's not the same as now. I'll tell you,
Soft shell.
The place that's closest to my heart to the food that comes from the Mid-Atlantic is New Orleans. Because the oysters, the Gulf oysters, are pretty fucking amazing stacked up against like Chesapeake Bay oysters or Carolina coastal.
Are you talking about raw or cooked?
Oh, no, I don't eat raw.
Okay, because I can't eat raw.
No, the main reason I won't eat raw, I had a raw oyster, but yeah, I told you the second time I went to the Outer Banks, we were staying in a condo next to a couple, and they invited us over for a drink, and we were like, well, that's really nice. They were a good bit older than we were, like 20, 25 years older. And he just lost his leg to septicemia from an oyster. He grew up on Willoughby Spit, which is kind of the top part of Virginia Beach, Norfolk. If you go across,
how did he encounter this thing?
Well, he'd been eating raw oysters his entire life.
And this is the first time he ever got nailed?
Yes. And he spent about a month and a half in Portsmouth Naval Hospital.
Jesus. How did it develop into septicemia? I mean, that's basically an infection that doesn't stop. An infection that doesn't stop turns to septicemia and it kills you. It's saying that, you have an infection that progressed to septicemia is like saying you died from a heart attack.
Yeah.
If you die from an infection, it's because it always gets to septicemia. If the infection is what kills you.
Yeah, well,
that's how it does that.
He got the blood poison from the oyster, and they could not save his leg. So he got. My guess is he. I mean,
I'm tell you what. I'll bet I can find out what the pathogen was.
Yeah, he's an older fellow, which meant that the pathogen there would have been less to fight with.
It's Vibrio. Okay, so that's what it is. It's a gram negative. It's a real little fucker. I know this. Vibrio it has an unpronounceable second name. It's like Volnificus or something. But everybody just calls it Vibrio, and yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, and if
you can certainly get septicemia from that.
If anything will learn you not to eat raw oysters, that'll do it. I love steamed oysters. I love them. And there's a place in Kitty Hawk that will ask you, do you want them steamed light, medium, or heavy? Light's enough to kill any bacteria, but it leaves the oyster plump and juicier than cooking heavy, which makes the edges curl and makes it chewier. I don't mind a chewy oyster. I mean, I'll deal with it, but I prefer them that way. And the other way I've had oysters that Louisianans do primarily, which is spectacular, is char grilled.
On the grill.
Yeah, with garlic butter. And
That sounds delicious.
What
Yeah,
on the grill with garlic butter is not wonderful.
Yeah, Drago's, and they serve it with like you know how the baguettes are slightly different in New Orleans? They serve it with like half a baguette to sop up and Drago's does a good job with their char grilled oysters, but Acme Oyster House does a better one, which is almost impossible to believe.
You would expect that with a name like Acme, because
but Drago's
Acme means the very best.
I know, but Drago's is like a Metairie bedrock.
Metarie's a dive these days.
Oh, it is. I mean, it looks.
I had a girlfriend who lived down in Metairie. I used to drive down and eventually started flying down to see her.
Looks like Northern Virginia. Ago. I mean, it's just wall to wall.
Urban sprawl.
That's where Drago's main, the mothership is. They have one in the Hilton in New Orleans, the waterfront, riverfront. But the Acme's, I think, are just a little bit better. But Acme Oyster House is an interesting place. Their red beans and rice aren't the best in town, but the oysters are pretty fucking amazing.
I actually think for red beans and rice, since that's to me that's a farmer's dish, and New Orleans is gonna. They're going to have the New Orleans take on that, but there's a lot of food that you eat more authentically outside the tourist places.
Yeah, and some places fuss it up more than others.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I mean.
It's perfectly passable. Quarter Two Sisters, believe it or not, has a like a takeout place on Bourbon Street.
Yeah,
and their red beans and rice is better than like Acme Oyster House. Because you can get it with an andouille, you can get it with a boudin, a spicy boudin.
What's an andouille?
It's kind of sausage.
Yeah,
you can't eat it, Jenna. Oh, you don't have enough heartburn medication for the spicy boudin. But man, with a spicy boudin, and you can get a debris po' boy there.
Po' boy.
Yeah. And the thing is I call them debris. Because of the French, a debris poor boy.
Right.
And
we call them grinders here.
Yeah, but
if you call it debris, you have the additional play on brie the cheese.
Yeah. If you want one of those, you can go on grinder.com. They'll deliver.
Yeah,
if I eat brie cheese, I'll die. So if you want to know how to murder me.
Okay, Jenna, a debris po' boy is. Have you ever heard of burnt ends?
Yes.
From like a brisket?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Now
also known as the best part.
Yes, the very best part. Now, if you take a roast, not a brisket that's been cooked, and there's always kind of like bits left over with jus.
Yes.
That's what a debris.
The food, not the religion.
The jus. I didn't say Jew. I said jus.
Okay, the juice, not the French word for play.
Or juice.
Check.
Au jus. That's what a debris po' boy is. It's just like those bits and bobs left over from the roast with au jus. It's like a French dip without damn Swiss cheese. And you don't have to dip it. I swear that's why that sandwich is called a French dip.
Dip, 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 dip.
But it's like you get low country shrimp and grits in South Carolina. It's entirely different than low country shrimp and grits. Low country, bio country. Shrimp and grits in Louisiana.
Well,
And
I can.
good
There-
shrimp and grits. Oh, sweet Christ! Oh,
Jenna-
look at that beauty.
Jenna, look at that on the screen there.
Oh, that's a dressed up debris.
That
It
is
looks
a
delicious,
Mm-hmm.
except
straight
the
from-
tomatoes.
New Orleans.
Well, you don't have to have that.
Give 'em
You
the
don't
name.
have to dress it.
Oh wow, it's okay. So who's
That's
gonna
suitable
send
for
me it?
eating.
Yes, it is.
Suitable for eating.
I don't
Well,
want the
it's
chips.
like the Montreal
I just want the
beef.
same.
All right. Let's stop torturing us.
I know, because that is.
Oh,
that's
Adam's
kind
here.
of-
I just looked at chat. Hey, Adam, how you doing, brother?
Adam.
I would have sent the link, but I got yelled at last time I sent somebody a link.
I didn't yell at you, did I?
No,
Oh, good. All right. Well, anyway, got nothing to fear from me. I mean, it'd be cool if you ran it by me.
well, I
but-
would have said some, but
Yeah.
I it wasn't.
New Orleans.
Adam, it's not
though.
my fault.
New Orleans is an amazing place for food.
It
That's-
is, and
that's a
I'm
fair
glad I
statement.
got to go there before.
It all
On
went
the
Yeah.
first
There's-
day of
there's some shrimp.
Christmas.
Oh,
On the first day of Shrimpmas, my
Well-
true love gave to me.
Yeah, but
Here's
that-
an here's an
where's
actual
for
meal that I
everyone
ate
else?
with
Oh.
that shrimp that we were talking about.
Oh,
This
oh
is
my
this for
God.
me is having a good salad,
oh,
prawns Diablo, anchor steam on tap. I don't need anything else. I really don't.
oh God,
Yeah.
that looks
Anchor Steam on tap
amazing.
really is a fine beer experience.
I mean, with this
you eat
food,
the hot
yeah.
oh,
peppers?
it's perfection. That's just
The-
perfection.
That salad is so pretty, and those pepperoncinis make me just go.
Yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
Are
eat
there
those-
anchovy on there, or is that just a weird piece of lettuce?
No, there's no anchovy.
Okay,
you
so
Or
sure?
maybe it was. I don't know. Can't tell.
It
Can't
looks like an
remember.
anchovy.
Bottom
It's been
left
so
corner.
long since I had anything like that. It's hard to say.
It kind of looks like a play on a Greek salad. So
Okay,
Yeah,
the
well,
four of
I
us
eat a
need to
lot of
meet up.
salad because
mhm.
salad is good. This was actually tonight. That's a
Mm.
salad so big that it starts falling off the plate.
Feta.
Yep.
Feta.
Oh,
That's
God,
basically
that's
half a
good.
head of lettuce
Mhm.
with cherry tomatoes and balsamic vinegar and all that sort of stuff. And
We
Yeah,
both
I
had
apologize for the
salads
setting.
tonight.
That just makes me happy.
It does.
That salad just makes me
Feta
joyous.
Yeah.
cheese always.
You know
makes
what it
me
needs?
Smile.
Broccoli.
well, it's goat cheese actually, not feta, but
Oh,
same
shame
general
on
idea,
you.
yeah.
No. Feta is sheep's milk cheese, and it doesn't smell like you use gym socks.
by the time you throw enough balsamic vinegar, and I mean good balsamic vinegar, the
Yeah.
stuff that's sweet and pours kind of like syrup.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Check the viscosity. It's
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
exactly
it doesn't
You're
fix,
exactly right.
It doesn't fix the gym shoes thing.
Yeah, I didn't make this to be pretty, but the goat cheese. Well, the nice thing is at the restaurant supply place, I can get like a huge bag of crumbled goat cheese for not that much money. When you
Mhm.
work out how many
Ooh.
salads I can have, this will keep me going
Mhm.
for a month, and
I
it's
think-
very
There's no
it's very price fair.
I can't do goat cheese. I can. I mean,
On
I
yours, you won't get any goat cheese. I'll make yours look more like this one,
no.
and then you'll
I
be
have
happy.
no tomatoes.
No, you need to put feta on it because if you're eating one that looks like it's
She'll
decorated with
never be
feta-
happy.
Oh, there's a
Shut up, asshole.
there's this Danish feta that I like that comes like packed in olive oil and spices and stuff. It's marinated
Danish
feta.
feta?
It is the best. It is I know
Hey,
it's
I know
delicious. It's
makes
delicious.
perfect
I
It's
sense.
promise.
it's actually cheese that comes from Great Danes.
It makes
Yeah.
perfect sense,
Great day.
actually.
Great Danish dairies.
Who occupies Okay, give me Prince Philip's lineage and get back to me. It makes perfect sense that the
Greek,
Danes would
Denmark.
have Theta because the Greek crown was from the Danish throne. It's a Danish line that ended up on the throne.
Philip was
in
born
Greece.
Philippos, Prince of Greece and Denmark, on the Greek island of Corfu in 1921. His father was Prince Andrew, younger brother of King Constantine of Greece, and his mother, Princess Alice of Battenberg. He is a great-great-grandchild of Queen Victoria through his mother's family.
Yes.
So that's his deal.
His mother was born in Buckingham Palace.
But the Danish line, if you track through Europe, it's the Danish line that ended up in the Greek throne. Not just Philip of Battenberg. It's
Don't mean to Philip.
really
No, his father was the brother of King Constantine.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, I know.
But if you go all the way back to ground zero, everybody's related to the damn Danish throne. It's that
royal. You must marry a royal because we can't have.
It's the male B line.
There's your feta. Are you happy now?
Oh yeah.
And you can see how much balsamic I use on it.
Yeah. See, I actually make Greek dressing, but I like balsamic, especially what you're talking about. So do I, Jenna.
It did not take you long to make that salad, Harry.
No,
He's whipping it out there.
Yeah, just what I do. I just whip it out.
Gorge.
If you have a problem, if you have a problem, whip it.
Yeah,
you must whip it.
Whip it good.
Into shape. Go for it. Move ahead.
Move ahead.
Yeah.
Try to detect it and whip it good.
Good. Yeah. I'm gonna go get.
I'm gonna need there.
I'm gonna go get a bucket and put it on my head. And
so here's the grilled cheese sandwich I made on my bread, homemade bread, grilled cheese sandwich, homemade tomato soup.
Homemade. I tell you, I will hire you as my chef, and I'll pay you double of what you make now. Now I might have to do some fraud stuff, but that's okay with me.
Is that chiffonaded basil?
Yeah.
And
as one does.
Technically, one probably shouldn't make chiffonaded a word. Is that a chiffonade of basil?
Yeah, close enough.
Yeah, you know what I meant. It looks like you don't have any crust on your bread. It's gorgeous.
Well, here, this is a great picture, but it'll give you an idea. I've been experimenting with what are these called? I can't remember this pan.
Oh God, that's so.
It's a covered loaf pan that I've been using, and so you end up with this sort of effect.
It's gorgeous.
All right,
that's actually sourdough.
Listen, Prospero. Thinly sliced basil is a chiffonade, and you can chiffonade basil. Okay, so you can use it as a transitive verb. It might sound a bit clunky to conjugate, but you would be entirely correct to say chiffonaded and chiffonading or chiffonades when referring to this technique or the product of the
I know, it just sounds so clunky though. It really, it's like it is a chiffonade of basil. Which sounds like the more proper way of saying it, but you done chiffonade that basil there, didn't you?
You know, Harry, I have a challenge for you.
Here's another ridiculous salad.
Oh God, that's so pretty.
That's a dinner plate.
I love your salami. It looks so nom.
Harry, I have a challenge.
Does it have peppercorns in it? And is that ham or mortadella?
Oh, it's many different types of meat. It's poached chicken breast, ham, salami, and there's a few different kinds of cheese floating around in there. And butter lettuce. Yeah.
Yeah.
You poached those chickens?
Oh, of course I did.
Wow. We just buy them out of the supermarket.
Ha.
Yeah, well.
You do it on the bone or off.
Didn't know it was illegal to kill them. But
well, that was it was on. It was half
skin on or skin
ribs off. Was attached, but chicken breast doesn't have a lot of bones.
No, I understand, but there is boneless chicken breast, and that's a lot harder to poach. I think because it dries out.
I make a lot of salads.
Well, no, that's a smart
They're
thing to do.
delicious.
Your taste in cheese is a little wonky, but
Oh yeah,
What's wrong
here.
with
your
pepper
taste
jack?
in meat is wonderful, and lettuce as well.
There.
Ooh.
That's spring mix with basically this is kind of Mediterranean. So I grilled the chicken breast, cut it apart. There's like ovalline mozzarella and some really good salami on spring mix. And there's
Is that
your goat cheese that you hate.
You did not tear that lettuce yourself, did you?
Well, it's spring mix. You don't have to
It's
tear
leaf
anything.
lettuce. It's leaf lettuce. There's oak leaf and other stuff in there.
I have to tell you,
It's gorgeous.
out of the two of us who had a salad tonight, I'm pretty sure yours was better.
That salami. Look at the fat in that salami. I love it. It looks like head cheese, for Christ's sake. It's just amazing. Mortadella with pistachio.
I don't know how this turned
Favorite
into
thing on earth.
things Harry's had for dinner.
Oh,
here's
you
here's a
dick.
steak
That's evil.
with a salad.
That's fucking evil.
Has anyone,
Is that a tomahawk? Is that a
No, it's an enormous ribeye.
was it cooked
Oh,
to?
okay.
How red
It's
Oh,
a
is
big
it
fucking
inside?
ribeye.
Mhm.
Yeah,
If that's a
Ha-
standard sized knife, that's a big.
that is a big
ribeye.
ribeye.
I
Yeah.
feel like I'm living in Robert Atkins' world.
I want to know what it was cooked to. Oh, you were watching TV while you were eating.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Because
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And
Yeah.
complex
Harry-
carb and
Yeah.
more fat.
This is accurate. This will put you right in ketosis, right
Is
here.
it rare, medium rare?
It's a
Me-
perfect medium rare.
And then you have macaroni and cheese for dessert.
There have been a lot of
Takes
salads.
you
I don't know.
out
I
of
seem to have
ketosis.
pictures of all of them. I'm not sure why.
Yeah, that's really pretty though. That's like
Oh, this is actually pretty. This is a salad in the process of being made.
Oh, those tomatoes
Yeah.
Okay.
are so beautiful.
Are
I
those
hate
like the-
radicchio to the bottom of my toes. So I'm hoping that
It's
Why are
it's
those
it's
tomatoes
it's
so
it's
small?
sad and bitter, like most feminists.
yes, and endive is not much better.
Oh, here's a Greek salad I made.
That's pretty.
Yeah,
That actually
That's
turned
the
out really
salad
well.
Part.
That chicken is beautiful.
endive is bitter, also. By the way,
Yeah,
Okay.
endive
Just
is
like me.
Provolone cheese.
nasty.
I
It's
love
just
chicken on
nasty.
Oh.
salad.
Here's
Grilled
another
chicken.
one with a few croutons.
Jesus.
nice looking crouton.
From your
Properly
own
done.
From
your
my
own
own bread, yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah, but
Harry-
they're the right kind of croutons. Olive oil or butter?
Oh, olive oil. Well, no, for the croutons, it's a mixture of olive oil and butter. But there's
Attaboy.
olive oil in the salad.
Attaboy.
I have a lot of pictures of salad.
Olive
kinda
oil and
scary.
butter just give you that right smoke point that you can like roll stuff around, and like you can do a steak in a cast iron skillet, start it on the stove, put it in the oven.
Oh.
do a little basting with it.
we moved up to the TV remote and the AC remote.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, that salami looks so good.
Those croutons.
Where are your
actually look
Kalamata
like I could
olives,
eat them.
you cretin?
I actually am not a huge fan. Sorry.
Are they too briny?
They just don't do much for me. I can eat them, but
Yeah,
Harry, how
Cree
crunchy
doesn't
are the
like them because they're
croutons?
too briny.
very.
Grapes,
Oh.
grapes. You're so cute.
Is there a
Oh,
way
you
to
you would
make
hate
them-
this one because
You're
this
not
is
such a
basically
Californian.
this is spinach with a raspberry vinaigrette, goat cheese, and let's see, candied walnuts
Walnuts.
and dried cranberries.
Yeah,
I would not
raisins.
be able to eat that.
As one
Craisins,
does.
candied No, that looks marvelous to me, and I actually would probably make it through the goat cheese. If you put fruit on a salad with something like a raspberry vinaigrette that's sweeter,
hmm
it offsets the gym shoes for me, because I can eat like like strawberry, blueberry, spinach or oak leaf spinach blend, something like that, with the goat cheese. If it has like a raspberry or
You
strawberry
guys-
walnut vinaigrette.
You know, sugar is forbidden in my salad dressing. I make most of my own salad dressing, and I cannot stand a sweet salad.
Yeah,
Mhm.
balsamic
see-
is pretty sweet on its own. That's about
That's
the
why I
limit for me
hardly use
usually.
it. I
Yeah.
hardly
Yeah.
use it except for some cooking things. Yeah.
So no Catalina dressing for you, huh?
Oh, Catalina dressing is awful.
Creed
It's
loves
just
it.
idiots.
I actually think I have it next to me.
Creed loves it. No, it's pretty tomato-y,
bless you.
Jenna.
Good,
Yeah,
good for you. I like the
classic
tomato. I just
Catalina.
don't like the sugar.
Yeah, you have a real aversion to any sugar in anything with tomato.
That's absolutely true. That's you know what?
No,
I had not even really thought about that, but you're absolutely right.
You railed about pizza sauce and spaghetti sauce that have sugar in them.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
They
You're right.
shouldn't have sugar in them.
And let me tell you something that's very popular in the Philippines, or at least it was when I was in the Navy. That
What,
is
Harry?
these guys will take a bunch of V8 juice and put a bunch of, wait for it, honey in it.
Ew.
Yeah, honey.
Ew.
Really
Oh,
serious.
now if it were hot
And
honey, it might
no,
work.
in V8 juice, let me tell you, I've drunk that concoction. Those guys they love it. They drink it all day long, and I couldn't even stand
It's
it.
a green tomato sandwich.
It was awful. Anyway,
It looks like a green tomato.
It looks
This
like
is
it's been
fresh. This is
digested.
fresh burrata with an heirloom green tomato, and it's with pesto and arugula on homemade bread.
Oh, that's a good idea
a
because
little bit of clatu on top. Yeah,
yeah, the you need to fry
nobody
that.
got that. Nobody got
Yeah, clatu burrata, Nick too.
that. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, I got it. Burrata
That was very subtle.
Burrata is interesting. I mean, all it is like a molten lava cake version of mozzarella, but
Wait, what is burrata?
it's the one with a gooey, runny middle. It's kind of the mozzarella ball with a gooey, runny middle.
It's when you
Okay.
have a bra for one, but not for the other.
It literally, think, you know how molten lava cakes work, Skep?
Mhm.
You cut into it and there's goo that runs out.
Right.
It's like
I have granddaughters.
it's a mozzarella ball that when you cut into it, inside is the gooey center that hasn't hardened.
Okay.
It's very rich.
You can't put too
very
much on
nice,
'cause-
very nice, but you got to be kind of careful with it.
Harry,
Orange
I'm
rolls.
going
Orange
to
rolls.
hurt
I
you.
was gonna
I
ask
knew
you.
they were orange rolls.
Because cinnamon rolls are good. Orange rolls are honestly better.
Orange rolls?
Yeah.
Yep.
Send me.
Just
the
trust
They-
me on this.
They
It's
both
like-
have their place, in my
It's
opinion.
like
They're
eating
both
an orange.
Yeah,
excellent.
next to each other in my stomach is where
Yes.
the place is.
Very
It's
seriously.
It's like
recipe.
eating an orange blossom.
I
It
actually
really
have
is.
this recipe. I can send it to you very easily.
I'd
Oh,
appreciate that.
yeah.
You send it on that internet thing.
Please.
Yeah.
Please.
You just use that. It's a tool. We should all use it.
Please. And I'm sure you have a cinnamon bun recipe.
I'm just surprised how far back I can go in my photo album and keep finding salads.
Oh, this is amazing, though. Orange rolls like that. You know, I hope everybody at home's entertained. We didn't talk about Project Veritas yet. O'Keefe got screwed. Somebody
Yeah.
got payola, and everybody else in the universe is talking.
You know,
about it.
I actually did want to talk about that, but
You should talk about it.
Well, one thing that I would say about the O'Keefe thing is, yes, O'Keefe is an asshole. Yes, he's an overbearing egotist. He's also extremely effective at what he did. And as far as I can tell, he pretty much built the joint.
Yep.
I mean, it certainly was built on his effort, his drive, and to be treated this way by them is so unbelievably shabby that I have to believe there's money in back of it. And that feels like it could be something, negative for free speech. Let's put it that way. Could even be sinister.
Well, what he presented, the memorandum from one of the board members saying he was going to get a raise, if he voted to get O'Keefe out, lends credence to that.
Isn't that
I don't care if he's a dick. We've all worked for dick bosses, okay? Everybody has worked with a prick.
Sometimes we are the dick boss.
I was just going to
Yes.
say, generally, I am I am that person.
And
Yeah,
it's
present.
and it's necessary because there was nothing more annoying than people going, "Why aren't you nicer? Because you're not getting your job done, you dickhead."
who would talk to their boss like that?
People talk to their coworkers that way. I got whined at because I wasn't. Why are you so mean? Well, third time you ask me the same question in the same day, I'm not going to be all that pleasant to you. I don't have a lot of patience for stupid people. Who won't write something.
The stupid comes.
But it's write it down. Just write it the fuck down and leave me alone. So I know I'm a dick. But if you're getting your work done, if you're doing your job, if you're producing, one of their gripes was apparently that weird kind of Project Veritas conference thing that went on in Miami. That even Laverne Spicer, who is like pretty much the conservative cheerleader from hell, was like, yeah, that was kind of strange. What? It cost $60,000.
What?
And
wait,
yeah, but and there was some question about expenditures that O'Keefe had. They fundraised something like $122 million off of him because he is Veritas. I mean, he was.
Yeah, well, the things that they were going after him were like, for example, he chartered a jet that he had 3 meetings in one day. He had a meeting in New York, and a meeting in Wisconsin, and a meeting, I think, in Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
And he chartered a jet to fly him there. As a result of that particular trip, according to him, he raised $2 million. And that was typical, and that those are the expenses they're coming after him. Now, I'm sure he's painting himself, in the most favorable possible light. But I wouldn't be surprised if somebody was either jealous of him or more nefariously the agent of someone whose ox was repeatedly gored by this guy and his activities, and somebody who wants to continue their activities in the dark. If they've gotten a hold of Veritas, that group of people will be neutralized. But here's what may happen. He'll surface someplace else, and he'll take a lot of the good talent from that with his new enterprise. I don't think he'll have any trouble getting funding. He'll find an angel, if nothing else, to back him. He probably has already had that lined up for a long time.
Oh, I mean, Project Veritas is done.
I think that sad goodbye thing where he said he was emotional. I think that was all for show. I think that was him being. Oh
no, it's fine. It's a little theater.
Yeah, it was theater. Is exactly theater. That's
the
exactly
kangaroo
what that
trial
was.
of the board meeting.
That was theater too.
Was theater. So
money, the big money wants you gone.
And at least
we have to do this for the policeman.
At least he didn't change his name to James I'm a Fool, spelled PHOLL.
And sorry, what?
It's a little joke on Pfizer or Pfeiffer, things that are spelled PF. Somebody put together a meme in no time that said it's your funeral.
Funeral, yeah, I saw that.
The
idea is that Pfizer would have paid people to throw him out of his job, and I think this could be something like that, or it could be just petty jealousy. It could be internecine hatred. It could be a lot of things happen in organizations.
The woman that the board initially said he had mistreated has said under no circumstances is that the case.
Yeah.
So, right. See, what differentiates James O'Keefe from Elon Musk is $200 billion. You know, O'Keefe didn't have the money to go, why don't you get fucked and I'm firing the board kind of attitude, or I don't care if I'm not chairman of my own company, like Musk could do.
Did you just call him Muskagoo? Muskagoo?
No, like Musk
Musk
could do.
could do. Sorry.
Musk could do. Okay.
No, my
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
I-
if she'd said muscadine, then
I
we
have
could have
been
a grape. We could have a grape fun.
sorry, I've been up 19 hours and my enunciation is sliding.
Don't worry, that happens to me every time I speak.
But you know,
The Minions thing is
this
up
is how
again.
they were able to run O'Keefe
Mm.
out of his own baby, basically.
Well, I did want to at least get a mention of the O'Keefe thing.
100
on
million
the
people
show.
unsubscribed within hours.
100
Really?
million?
1,000. I'm sorry.
Okay.
100,000.
No, I can see it.
Both
Either
big
one
numbers.
is possible. Either one is possible. I would
misspoke.
believe either one. I would believe either one. Truly.
It could have gotten to 100 million by now. I don't know if they had that many
Damn.
followers, but 100,000 had unsubscribed.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah, that. God damn it! I can't believe 1,000 million KM, two completely different letters. Viva Fry had tracked it and reported it. He said, myself included, because they can just eat a bag of dicks.
You can buy those in the candy section for children.
You can also buy dick-shaped pasta on Amazon.
No.
I've seen on a bachelorette party somewhere.
It makes interesting mac and cheese. It was served at a wedding that I attended.
Get your children talking about no.
Yeah, I mean, it was
Let's not
served
do that.
at a wedding I was attending. And I kept it a secret because my husband had ordered the dinner that had the mac and cheese with it. And I said, absolutely nothing. One of the grooms had told me that they were doing that. And I kept my mouth shut.
Yeah.
And it was funny because there was a bit of a, most people I don't think noticed because there were a lot of old people there.
Yeah, ballsy move.
Yeah, it was actually really funny looking cooked pasta.
My definition of old has certainly changed.
No, I'm talking like 80s, 70s, and I know we're in our, you're in yours, I'm approaching mine, but
do not attack my Skep.
I'm 60-10. That's the way I'm.
That's the way to put it. I have to enroll in Medicare.
Like centuries.
I have to enroll in Medicare this year.
Do not.
I am not happy.
Do not attack my Prospero.
I am.
Play nice.
I am. Cree's like, you need to contact blah blah. I was like, shut up.
My mom had that conversation with my dad because my dad's actually 6 months younger.
Yeah, I know. It's not nice. I have to wait till 3 months before my enrollment period begins. But yeah.
Well, anyway, I just wanted to get that out there. We have been going for almost 2.5 hours, so I think it's probably time to wrap it up. If nobody has anything else to say, I think we'll call it.
And next, Harry's desserts. No, just kidding.
Boy,
it could be fun. But anyway, hey, chat, thank you for coming out and watching us. We do this for you. And thank you to my panel, my good friends, Prospero, Jenna, and Harry joining me this evening. The zoo is closed. Good night, everybody, and have a pleasant